I like streaking.
Don't assault the mascot.
I will say this, though.
This is Sonic.
A little cuckoo.
Who determined the Cowboys are America's team?
Let's party. Life's always a party. Let's go, Paul. Hey.
How we doing? How's the summer going for you?
It's going good. It's going good, Paul. I saw you were drinking a Celsius today to get the energy up.
I'm always drinking Celsius,
You said you love it, actually.
They're fire.
So get this. So I'm at home. I see you posted on your Snapchat, Celsius. I love it. Apparently, they're supposed to help you lose weight, and they wake you up, basically.
Celsius, I consider, if you really dumb it down, it is like a healthy energy drink. And the point of it is you're supposed to drink it before you work out, and then it's supposed to help burn fat.
All right, that's the thing. So I saw you right before I came over to do the show, and I know that we have the same exact one that you took a picture of in our outside fridge. So I started heading out there. You're like, you know what? I'm going to go try it. I'm a little tired today. Let's get the energy up for the show. And we're going to do a few test and lab episodes. So excited for that. Need some energy. And as I'm walking, my mom's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm going to go try the Celsius that Paul posted. He said he loves it. It's supposed to give him energy. And she's like, oh, I don't know if you should drink that. She's like, you're supposed to drink that when you're going to go do something like exercise or something, not sit around and drink beers. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. Okay, I want to need a little bit more energy. And she's like, also, I'm a little worried about your heart. I'm like, what? I'm like, y'all think you tell that to somebody? Like, what, am I going to have a heart attack?
What's going on? What's she think?
I don't know. She thinks I'm going to have a heart attack. So I might have a heart attack at any point during this episode today. I have heart issues, apparently, to my mom.
Apparently, yeah.
So I ended up not drinking it. So I have no. Then she felt bad. No, taste it. I'm like, no, I'm going to have a heart attack if I try it. So, but I will eventually try it, Paul.
I really like the Celsius. My favorite's the orange flavor. It's just orange. No, nothing special. There's like watermelon. There's a bunch of different flavors. Kiwis. There's a bunch of flavies.
Got a bunch of flavies.
But I really like Celsius. I didn't like it at first. When I started working out a couple months ago, I was drinking like me and my girlfriend. We would split a Celsius.
Yeah.
And then we would split a protein shake. So
Nice.
we'd have like our full drink would be like half Celsius, half protein. Which I really liked. But then I started really liking the Celsius. I love Red Bull. I've been trying to not drink Red Bull as much, especially the Celsius. They're only 10 calories.
Yeah, my brother and sister are big like health nuts, and they die by it.
Dude, everyone's been loving it. I see people going to the gym at like 6 o'clock in the morning, chugging it in their car before they go to, I'm like, is it that good? And then I've been working out after work on Mondays and Thursdays now, and it's been good for a couple weeks.
Nice.
And so I take my walk from my car to by the time I get changed, I chug it and it's good to go. And I'm like, all right, I'm pumped.
It's like a little pre-workout. We are now a health and fitness podcast.
That is not true.
I don't think we should be in any way, shape, or form a health and fitness.
But speaking of our podcast, if you're listening, you like us on YouTube, give us a subscribe over there. We're close to 1,200. So help us reach that mark. So we're close to 1,200 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that alert button. We really appreciate it. We're not a health and fitness podcast, but we are a movie podcast. And I saw a hilarious video of you over the weekend where I'm just gonna hand it over to you. I saw you at the movies, and something happened at the movies, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this because this was insane.
Yeah, I was cracking up.
I have a video. We'll probably post this on TikTok, but I have like a video of the actual thing. What happened was basically I went to go see Top Gun. I finally forced myself to go see Top Gun.
Better late than never.
But that's the thing. I went and saw Top Gun. The movie's been out for like 4 weeks. Packed theater.
Really?
Like, absolutely packed. I think maybe only a couple, like 4 or 5 seats in the entire theater, not full.
Real question, real quick. Were there people that you knew around you that kind of saw, like you thought, you know what, this is their second time seeing it? Did you kind of get that vibe from some people? Because I know plenty of people saw it.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I didn't get the vibe.
I hate that. Like, that's one of my pet peeves of going to a movie later on, since like a couple months that it came out, is that there's people there for a second time, and then they're like, oh, here comes the part. Like, no, you're ruining it for me.
Yeah. No, I didn't really get that vibe, but I just love the movie in general. And so I saw Top Gun. I get out of the theater. I'm on a high. Movie's great. If you haven't seen it, you should. And I see a guy. Actually, this is what really happened. I keep telling everyone that I saw this guy afterwards, but that's not what happened. Before I went into the theater, I saw the guy changing one of the posters. Like, to go to movie theaters, you walk up and down the aisles, you see like, oh, coming soon or now playing, right? And there are these huge movie posters.
Yeah.
They're all backlit, really, really nice. Well, I saw one of the workers from AMC, he was changing the posters. And I knew that you can always ask. I had a buddy who worked in a movie theater who used to get a bunch of those posters. And I was like, hey, man, he was changing them. I was like, hey, man, like, I was just curious, like, how could I get one? How could I get one? And he goes, honestly, we give them to employees. We can, if you ask for them, we can give them to you. We just can't give you anything that's currently playing or, we just got in that we're going to put up soon. But he's like, anything else is really fair game. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'm going to go see Top Gun. And then when I come back, I'm going to find you. And he's like, okay, sounds great. So I see the movie. I come back. Didn't see that guy. I was like, hey, man. I was like, can you get I think there was another guy here. Like, I think he's still here. I was talking to him about movie posters. Can you like find that guy?
Oh, you went to someone else to find the poster guy? That's funny.
So he's like, yeah. So he calls up.
He's got the walkie-talkie. I have a crazy guy here looking for a movie poster. Are you familiar with this guy?
So I was like, okay, this is dope. So he came in and I'm like, hey man, like I was just curious, what type of posters you have? What can I grab? And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go in the back. I'll grab you a bunch. So I'm like, okay, great. He comes back like 15 minutes later. I'm just sitting there with the one guy. Yeah. I'm like, this is awkward, whatever. Comes back, has a whole garbage bag full of posters. It's like 15 posters.
That's dope.
I was super excited. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get home, do a whole unboxing.
Yeah,
so I got home. I opened them. There were a bunch of really good gems in there. I think the favorite one I had was the Batman.
They're the big ones, right? Like when you're walking in on the side. Are you gonna go get one?
We has some. He has some in the bag.
Yeah, I was watching Paul do the Well, he didn't show a video of the unboxing. I wish he did that. He kind of just took them out. He's gonna bring one out on the show. But these are the ones that like when you're walking into the movie theater, right? And they're on the different sides, the two sides.
Yeah. So these posters are ginormous. I was telling my dad, and they're specific too because they're nice because they're meant to be backlit. So like they're meant to have light shine through them.
Oh,
so they have.
So they're made. So they're made for the light. This is cool though because I kind of quickly skimmed through your Snapchat story, so I didn't get to see the poster. So this should be good. Is that
that's a Sonic one?
So this is the first one. This is Sonic.
Oh, that's dope. Look at that. That's fire.
So definitely check us out on
talking behind.
Check us out on YouTube to definitely see some of these posters.
You should poke his eyes through and then do the podcast as Sonic.
Or Eggman. Who knows?
But these posters, like, they're super nice. They're like 45 inches by like 27 inches.
If you weren't a movie buff, you could probably like flip them for some money. Pull a little Gary V. Sell them in the yard sale.
I mean, this definitely will not be the last time I do this. Every time I go to the theater, I mean, I told Ryan, I said, I want to. Or I don't even know if I told Ryan, but I mean, Ryan has a really good spot behind him here on the set. Or even me, like I have a poster that I can change where if I want to get one of those light boxes that we can put these posters through just because they
bring the movie theater environment here to the studio. See, Paul, he goes and asks for the posters, like the leftover posters. I ask where the leftover popcorn and nachos are. Excuse me, sir, where's the leftover popcorn go? Because I'm gonna find out. What else did you open? All of them, right?
I opened all of them. The best ones I got were Sonic 2. I got Morbius.
Morbius. What is that? That's the
that's
Marvel.
The one with, Jared Leto.
Oh,
and he was like the vampire.
It's become a running meme because it wasn't that great of a movie.
It wasn't that great. I got the one from.
Well, you gotta show us another one. You can't just bring the whole bag and show one.
Tom Holland's. What was Tom Holland's?
Oh, the one
movie?
with Wahlberg.
Yeah.
What was that movie
Uncharted?
called? Oh yeah.
Is that from the video game franchise Uncharted, or is this a different?
I'm not sure. That looks like a darker one. So now every time you're just gonna show up and be like, "Yo, I'm the poster man. Give me all your posters."
I'm the poster man.
I also have Popcorn Man here with me. Can you get him the
Give
rest
us all
of
your
the,
free shit.
Yeah, the free popcorn. I am going to the movie theater tomorrow. Actually, I think I'm gonna go see Jurassic Park.
You haven't seen Jurassic Park yet?
No, I haven't. So like my Jurassic Park was like your Top Gun, where you're like a little late to see it. I'm a little late to see Jurassic Park. My girlfriend's excited for it. Hey, maybe I'll ask for the posters tomorrow. What's that?
Or
That's
a trash bag.
I don't know if you want to do. I don't know if he wants to do that on camera. As he took the rubber band off.
Oh, okay,
Kids show.
Yeah, it is that Uncharted. Okay.
Kids show on taking off that rubber band. That's a cool.
I actually got 2 of these. So maybe we do a giveaway. Maybe we could do some of these giveaways.
Yeah, we could.
There's a bunch. There's a lot of horror films here. Downton. I got 2 Downton Abbeys. Don't really need those or want those.
Downtown Abbey was a movie?
I can't
thought
wait.
it was a TV show.
It is a TV show, but they came back with a movie.
I can't wait for the day that Paul goes in and he asks for the posters, and they're like, Ryan, the guy's back again.
Yeah, the guy on the walkie-talkie is the fucking poster guy's back here. We're gonna have to let's get a high alert on him.
Hide the posters.
Well, I'm really waiting for hopefully I want to go back when I can get like Doctor Strange.
Yeah, you got to time it up so where they're like replenishing the good movies.
I'm surprised like they give them to you for free. I would have thought that you would like have to pay.
Yeah,
for
they
'em
probably
or
just throw them
something.
out. That's wild. The movie theater is starting to pick up, I think. I think movies are starting to come out in bunches more often now. There's movies coming out that have a lot of buzz, so there's definitely going to be some more posters that are going to be dope, and we definitely have to put some up on this set, like you said, and add a little light to it. That'll be fire.
So honestly, really, I want to. We can start off with this, talking about some movies, what we're looking forward to for sure. But this actually, the week you're listening to this, we just passed. Whatever this, I don't know what the actual date is.
It's the 28th, so
like this past weekend.
it'll
so
be the
like
4th of July weekend. Yeah, basically.
What I'm saying, but I'm saying prior to that. So like it was Top Gun. It was the weekend movie or the weekend Elvis came out. So it was like Elvis, Top Gun, Jurassic Park. There were, for the first time in like 4 years, that 4 movies the same weekend made over $20 million at the box office.
Are you gonna see Elvis?
I am gonna see Elvis.
I'll probably
sing
see
it
it
tomorrow night. Actually,
Oh, there you go.
I
will run into each
I have
other.
a plan to go see it tomorrow night. That's the plan right now. I heard it's a longer movie. I heard Austin Butler's awesome in it though.
Yeah, I saw him on Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show, and that got a lot of buzz. So I heard that he like when he played Elvis, and it took him so long, and he was such in character that he like can't not stop talking as Elvis, which is very weird. Like he's like ordering Wendy's as Elvis because he can't stop it. So let me get a 4 for 4, and ain't nothing but a hound dog. Yeah,
terrible impersonation there.
I gotta work on my impersonation.
You do, but no,
as a comedian.
But no, if you watch any Austin Butler interviews recently, you could tell. If you ever seen him before, prior to Elvis, he did some roles. Obviously,
He was a Disney kid.
He was. I mean, he was a Disney kid. He was a Nickelodeon kid. He was all over the place. But if you see what his voice was prior and then see what his voice is now, I mean, method acting, I don't know if we've really ever talked about it, but like how dangerous it can be.
Yeah.
And people talk about it with like Heath Ledger, and then
Yeah, the
now
Joker's
this
the prime example
example.
for how dangerous method acting can be.
So you could see this with Elvis too, right? And you could see that everyone's saying, "Oh, like he sounds like him. He keeps talking like him." And it's like, yeah, everyone keeps freaking telling him, like he clearly can't help it. Like there's something wrong there. As an actor, if you're going through that long period of time where that's all you're doing, and you're in that mindset, it's like, yeah, I mean, some of it's gonna keep around. People talk about moving to different countries, where it's like, hey, like you grow up in a country, but if you move to a country and you're there for 10 years, you might pick up a slight accent. Like if you're involved in it and around it, and like, it's gonna stick with you. And I think that's just what's happening with him. And unfortunately, I think eventually it'll go away. But right now, I mean, if you watch any interview of him, he does have a slight Elvis draw to his voice.
I remember in college, I watched a documentary on Jim Carrey, and he played Andy Kaufman in the film, I believe. And he would try to pick up all his antics, and he would meet with his family, have dinner with his family, be really involved with his family. And there's a documentary literally about Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman and him being a method actor and how in role he was. Like he's on set and he's starting to believe that he's Andy Kaufman. And then his dad, Andy Kaufman's dad's acting to Jim Carrey as if he's his actual son. He's like, I love this movie because it made me feel like my son was back. And I just like, it's so crazy to me about Jim Carrey and how he was he literally believed that he was Andy Kaufman.
It's a lot of chills, but at the same
I
time,
literally
it's
just got
like,
chills saying that. Like, it's crazy.
so dangerous, and it's just unfortunate. That's just how the movie industry is going.
Is that why all the top actors and actresses are kind of a little cuckoo?
Well, you can see, like, I mean, there are
It's
certain,
honestly true.
no, but there are a certain amount or certain set of actors and actresses that do that type of method acting. I mean, method has always been considered like a more of a dangerous technique, just because, like you said, Heath Ledger, like he was involved in it for so long, where like when the camera is off, like he is still portraying the Joker, right? And he's still portraying that character. And the same thing with Austin Butler playing Elvis. It's like he's still there. He's doing his mannerisms constantly. I mean, Ben Platt. So this is a little different. This is on Broadway, but when Ben Platt originated the role of Evan Hansen for Dear Evan Hansen, the Broadway show. I mean, that character, if you ever watched it, it's an amazing Broadway show. They made it into a movie. The movie didn't do that well. It's not the best. But the show in general, I mean, he portrayed that character 8 times a week for a couple years. And the character has like major social anxiety. He has a stutter. He has a lot of like nervous hand gestures that he's doing. He arches his back. Like he has this very poor posture. And for the longest time, his friends came out and were like, yeah, like he's changed. Like he's completely changed because like, dude, 8 shows a week for a couple years. He's like, in this character performing, and those habits start to pick up on it.
Yeah.
Like the hunchback and the slow walking and the social anxiety and like the little ticks of his hands and how he was acting also like came into his real life. And it took him a really, really long time. I think he's still even there, like a long time to get out of that.
That's really dangerous. Like it is, like you
So
said, really
dangerous.
dangerous. Luckily, there's other actors who, like Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler, like they accept roles in movies that they kind of feel like is their self or their kind of comedy. I was actually watching a podcast, Bert Kreischer, isn't that how you say his name? The comedian?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
The guy who takes his shirt off? Okay. Well, Trevor Wallace was on his podcast.
Okay.
And I actually watched it because I have a bad perception on what Trevor Wallace is.
I like Trevor Wallace.
Like I think he's just like this weird cocky kid. I watched the podcast. He is nothing like he is in all his content. Like he's a very humble, chill kid. Like I was like, wow, actually fuck with Trevor Wallace now after watching this podcast. But he talks about how, like we talked about last week, how movies aren't needed in today's world to kind of escalate in the entertainment world, right? We talked about how you can build your own success.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So he talked about like, because Bert asked him like, where you see your success? Like, what do you want to do? And he's like, the cookie cutter answer is to do movies, right? But he's like, I don't even know if I want to do that because like method actor, like he would have to be in a very specific role where a studio would have to reach out to him and be like, hey, we like you for who you are. Come play you in this role. And I feel like that's the trajectory of how movies are going with the Heath Ledger story and even the Jim Carrey story. It's like celebrities or comedians or actors or actresses are nervous about those kind of things. So they'd rather be put into a movie based off of their normal life, if that makes sense. So that's easier for them to make the transition. It's safer, and they know they can excel in that role.
Well, one of the big reasons why people thought that Robert Downey Jr., when he played Tony Stark, was like, he's just playing Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, like that's why he works, like he's the perfect Robert Downey Jr. But at the same time, you have a lot of actors, and this happens in mostly TV shows. If you ever play a character on a TV show for a very long time, it's like, say anyone in Friends, right? For example, like David Schwimmer was a big thing, where when David Schwimmer was playing Ross in Friends, that like when Friends ended, he was trying to get different roles, but unfortunately, everyone in the world just knew him as Ross.
Yeah.
And it was very hard for people to get a mindset out of that, and in that way, like studios weren't hiring him, they weren't casting him because they're like, we only see you as Ross. People only see you as Ross.
That's
like,
true.
This is not this character. So it took him a very, very long time to even get out of that, and that's called typecasting. And it's like when people only see you as one type of role, and that's what is happening with a lot of comedians, where say like Steve Carell, for example. Like Steve Carell was known as this amazing comedian where like he wanted to start doing a lot more serious roles, and he started doing a lot more serious roles, and it takes a long time to get out of that. Adam Sandler's in the same boat, where like Adam Sandler is known as a comedian. That's how he rose to fame. And now in his older life, he's like, I want to start doing some more serious acting.
Dude, how about, you're naming off those guys, what about Bob Saget, the dad of Full House? Like this laughy, goofy dad, very clean. Yet you go over to his stand-up comedy, he's one of the raunchy, dirtiest comedians of all time. Like he really doesn't give a fuck what he says on stage. But like they're two totally different worlds, but everyone sees him as the lovable family guy on Full House.
Yeah.
But like his actual life is actually pretty different, and his humor is a little darker. So you wouldn't see the two balance out, and it's pretty funny to see things like that. It's funny that you said the David Schwimmer thing, how it's hard for people to get a role because people just know him as Ross from Friends.
Yeah. So, we're in the thick of summer movie season, blockbuster
We're in the thick
movies.
of it. We're in the thick of it.
Yeah. But we're in the middle of summer movie season and blockbuster movies. There's been a bunch out recently, and I think that's the main reason why the box office is starting to go back to normal. I don't think it's completely there, but it's definitely getting back to normal. People are going to the movie theaters. Top Gun Maverick actually just crossed the $1 billion mark.
Damn.
So that's Tom Cruise's highest grossing movie of all time.
What do you
It's his
think
first movie in the $1 billion club. What were you saying?
When was the last $1 billion movie? Probably Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man was over $1 billion mark. You know, technically came out in 2021. But you know, and they're the only $2 billion club films of the pandemic since the pandemic.
Damn.
So you have that. Jurassic World Dominion is doing really well. Even like what's it called? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness hasn't hit $1 billion yet. And it won't. I don't think it will because now it's available on Disney Plus.
You said Thor's coming out, right?
Thor is coming out next week, July 8th, I believe. Thor: Love and Thunder.
That'd
Can't
be a
wait to
dope
see that.
poster to get.
It should get very close, if not there. I don't think Thor Ragnarok did, Thor's third film. I think it got close in the 800 or low $900 million range. So hopefully, building off the success of that, we've seen Thor twice since his last film. We've seen him in Infinity War and Endgame. And I love the portrayal of Thor and like the way Taika Waititi, who is the director of the new Thor films, has taken the character.
Yeah.
So it's super colorful. It's so different than the original the first and second Thor films. And it comes out next July 8th. So I'm excited to see
You should
that.
see if they have those like cardboard cutouts. See if they're available.
I saw a TikTok that went viral where it was a dad. He went in the theater and he asked for the Top Gun cutout. And it was huge. It was him and his daughter taking it out. And like they were moving doors. They were like all this stuff. And people were like, hey, just like take it apart. Like
It's perfect for a little man cave.
Yeah, but it's huge.
Do they have another Avenger? Because everyone's coming out with their own movies now. So it's like Spider-Man, Thor, Doctor Strange. Is there another Avengers on the map?
Not yet. There's not.
I feel like there might be then.
There hopefully soon. So what's going to happen is in the summer you have San Diego Comic-Con, which happens as a very big event. Marvel hasn't been there for 2 years or 3 years. Hasn't been there since 2019, and right now, you know, we know what's going on. We definitely need a new release of Marvel films and properties coming out after this year. So we kind of know everything about a year from now, and then after that, we're in the dark.
I saw there's a Black Panther coming out.
Black Panther should be coming out. They moved that date a few times, but it should be in the fall or in the winter.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really great. You have Ant-Man 3 coming out soon. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming out soon.
Ant-Man 3, let's go.
I love the Ant-Man films.
Ant-Man is slept on. I love Ant-Man. I was watching this podcast, Bert Kreisner's podcast with Trevor Wallace, and they were talking about filming a movie in like Alaska. And then you think about it, and then all the people, actors or influencers have to go move to Alaska. It's almost like they have to pause their careers to shoot a movie for like a long time, like 6 or 7 months. Because he talked about Jimmy Tetra. You remember Jimmy Tetra, the YouTube guy?
No.
I think he was in like Silicon Valley or whatever. And like he's an influencer, and then he has to go shoot a movie in Alaska. I feel like that affects their like following, because you always have to, like, we always talk about the importance of posting and always creating content. So I always think about like movies take a long ass time, dude.
It all depends on what you're trying to do. I think that is going to be a challenge for people who are content creators and influencers moving forward. And like you said, if they're going to the next level, what are they doing? And if they do want to do movies where, you know, all that stuff is super private, you can't release anything. If you're on set, you can't be filming, or if you film, you know, that stuff can't be posted for months, or like, you know, at least a month after the film comes out. I've seen a bunch of stuff being released from filmmakers on the set of Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
It's just so cool to see the behind the scenes of them filming these real jets.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember when Free Guy came out. Free Guy was that movie with Ryan Reynolds. Came out last summer, and then after the film came out, you have all these people who are actors on set like started posting videos.
Yeah.
And it was cool to get to see the behind the scenes, but it's like, even, you know, someone who's from New Jersey, Rachel Zegler, who was Maria in West Side Story. Like I know when the movie came out, it took maybe a week or two, but then she started posting like all this behind the scenes stuff of her in the makeup chair and like her trying on her dress for the first time. And it was like really, really cool.
Like you're literally going MIA for months.
I mean, all of that stuff content wise for her, like she shot that film like 2 years prior.
That's wild.
So, I mean, but even if most times a regular movie shoot's usually around 3 months. So at least you're basically going silent for 3 months.
Like Kevin Hart does the same thing. Where he'll post like Jumanji clips on the set with a camel with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but it's like he's got to hold on to that for months, maybe even over a year.
That's like a year old. Yeah,
it's wild. Speaking of movies, or I don't know, that's not a good transition. That's one of my bad transitions. But I also saw you went and saw John Mulaney at Madison Square Garden, which was dope. I was surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised, but I saw Tom Segura, who I think is funnier than John Mulaney.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just keeping it real up here. Life's a party. But we saw John Mulaney at Radio City. I saw Tom Segura with my girlfriend in the Hulu Center, which is basically classified as Madison Square Garden, but it's the little arena or theater connected to MSG, so it's not the actual arena. But you said Mulaney sold out Madison Square Garden twice, and they did a little weird thing with your phones. They took them, like Kevin Hart when he has shows in Philly, or when we go to Atlantic City, Sebastian Maniscalco. They're really strict about people having their phones out, because obviously content can't be leaked, because everyone's going to see the tour. It's going to be a Netflix special, so they don't want their jokes to be leaked. But you told me they did something new with your phones, and I thought it was very fascinating.
It's cool. Like Ryan said, this was my third time seeing John Mulaney. I saw it once in college. He did like a college tour years ago.
That's dope.
We saw John Mulaney at Radio City a couple years ago.
Yeah, we went.
And then John Mulaney, I just saw last week, Friday, actually, at Madison Square Garden. It's my first time at the Garden. I know they updated.
First time.
It was my first time there.
What was his stage?
It was super simple.
So was it like a normal stage, and they had like a little bit behind them, like those seats weren't taken? Because Kevin Hart, he transformed into this 360 stage where he puts the stage right in the middle.
I've seen people
like
do
a
that.
WWE ring,
Yeah.
or like a UFC cage, and then he has like fills up the rest.
So I've actually seen a lot of people when they perform at MSG, they do a circular thing.
Really?
But no,
He
he
just
did like a
stage.
traditional concert venue where he was, they cut out the last 10,000 or maybe like
Yeah,
3,000 seats
Yeah.
in the back. But then that 3,000 seats was filled by the people on the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw John Mulaney first time at MSG. Really, really cool experience. And I was mad because I have never, it's been such a long time for that I had to print out my ticket, right? Like everything's digital now. So we get up to the gate. I'm like coming out. My girlfriend's like, hey, let's get in line. Come on, we're getting in line. I'm like, hold on. So I'm like looking, and it says must print ticket at home. I'm like, what the hell, man? And so I go up to a guy. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He goes, just go to the main entrance, go to the box office. They'll help you out. So we walked over there. Somebody gave us a Post-it note, wrote down our ticket, went to the box office. We showed them our stuff. They gave us like an actual printout ticket, which was dope.
Well, that's cool.
So now we have like old school printout tickets.
I missed that.
And then the whole point is that they didn't want you to have your ticket on your phone because they were going to take they weren't going to take it, but they were going to lock your phone up. So as Ryan said, if you've ever been to a comedy show, and I think, now these big time comics, if you're ever seeing them at like large venues, they're usually they're on tour and they're filming at one of the venues to be posted most likely to Netflix. Like I think John Mulaney has a deal with Netflix where like he'll do the full tour, he'll film a couple of the spots of the tour, pick his favorite one, and then it'll be posted to Netflix.
Or they used to post them in theaters, like Eddie Murphy would post like a theater show.
Kevin Hart did that, right?
Yeah, he did that for, I think maybe What Now he did that. Yeah, he released it in the movie theaters instead of Netflix.
So that's interesting. And then, so the whole point is like, they clearly can't have the content leaked on your phone and that kind of thing. So I was really curious. I'm like, they're going to take our phone? Like, what the hell are they going to do? Like, how do you take 20,000 people's phones?
It does suck because it was your first time in Madison Square Garden, so you couldn't take pictures of your first time in Madison Square Garden. That is kind of funny.
We did take I knew the phones were going to get taken, so we took a photo of the tickets and a photo of us with the tickets, like a selfie, right by the box office before we kind of really walked in. But yeah, so what happens is they have like a pouch for you, and it's like a little pouch. It's gray, dark gray. Like my phone, but you like slip your phone in it, and then at the top there is like a little pin that I compared to, what you would be on your clothes when you go to buy something at the store.
Mhm.
It's like a security tag almost, where it's like, okay, like once you close the security tag, it is locked.
It's wild.
That thing's locked. So like your phone is just kind of there. It's a fabric. It's like a pouch. You hold it, and
That's wild.
you can't see anything, so it's not clear or anything. But it's like completely dark. So even if your phone lit up or if it even rang, it probably would be the sound wouldn't be as loud. And we had those. We put them in my girlfriend's purse, and we enjoyed our night. And that was it. And it was like the phone was gone. And
You said it was like a nice detachment, detach away from the regular world.
it was really nice because it was like you could not. You couldn't look at your phone. I wasn't even worried about my phone, honestly. I was like really nice
Man,
that
I
it
was
put
wondering why
away.
you weren't answering my calls.
There you go. But it was cool because one, that I had no recollection of time. Like
Oh, are you
there's
hammered?
No. But I'm saying, if you don't have a clock, if you like can't look at a clock,
Oh, yeah.
time moves so differently.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a recollection of time. And then also it was so cool because I was on the, I wasn't on the top level, but I was in like a suite box. Like that's kind of where our seats were, that when you looked out amongst the crowd, there was no light. Like it was completely
Yeah.
dark. And you just don't see that in a large arena filled with 20,000 people anymore. So it was really nice. It was different. That's what's going to be happening. And then at the end, we had these pouches. We walked out of Madison Square Garden, and there was 50 people that have like these little devices, and they just basically unlock your phone for you, take it out, and you throw the pouch in a little trash can, and you're like good to go.
And then you went up to the poster guy and like, hey, can I get a poster of
Yo,
John
can I
Mulaney?
get like a John? Like, are we done with this? Like, this was his last
Can
night,
I take
right?
his outfit that he wore tonight? I want to take that home and put it on my podcast set. No, but that is wild how like they literally lock it automatically and then like you can't open it. Like that's wild to me. I remember Pete Davidson. I think there was a rumor it might have been University of South Florida, maybe University of or UCF. I think Pete Davidson did his college show, and some kid took his phone out, got some recordings of it, and I heard he just walked off stage because he's like, I'm not gonna let you guys record my content. But yeah, that's crazy. All right, so let's get into what we're gonna talk about next. We're gonna talk about the biggest pet peeves of sports fans, Paul. We love sports. You've worked in the sports industry.
It's true.
So we're going to see if we agree or disagree with these pet peeves of sports fans have. So the first one is grown adults wearing jerseys of players that are younger than them. So how do you feel about that, Paul? I know someone I work with because when I go to games, I like to buy the jersey of the player I like. Whether they're younger than me, older than me, been new to the team, I buy their jersey and I wear it to the game. But now it's starting to get a little weird because I'm 25 and the jersey I'm wearing, say like Zion Williamson, he's like 21. So like he's 4 years younger than me and I'm wearing his jersey to the game. That's what my buddy at work says. He's like, I can't trust anybody that wears a jersey of other grown man or a younger kid than him making more money than him. I'm like, so I don't know how you feel about that. You're probably on the same page as me.
I think it's ridiculous. It doesn't really make sense to me. I see where people are like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, yeah, but I mean, if you like a sport, right? Like if you like a sport and you like an athlete, then get whatever player you want, right? Like it does not matter to me. I think it is weird because we are coming on that age where it's like all the players in the draft are a lot younger than you.
Yeah,
like
it's very
all the
weird.
really new hot players are coming out and they're like, oh, they're 20, 21, 22, right? And
They're like, oh, this quarterback's getting a little, Carson Wentz getting a little older. He's 28. I'm like, what the? I'm 3 years younger than that. But he's old in sports term. I will say this, though, Paul. I don't like when people wear, like, basketball jerseys with no undershirt to the game. That does bother me.
if
The
they
no
just wear a
undershirt.
normal jersey.
I know Dave Portnoy does that.
I know a lot of people do that, actually.
Yeah, I don't like the no shirt underneath.
I
at
like
the game.
I like the fit of wearing a sweatshirt with the basketball jersey.
That's
on
what
top.
I always do.
I like that fit because in the winter, right? Like it's super cold outside, and we're from Philly, so it's super cold outside. You go into the game, it's like sweatshirt, jersey, a hat. Like
That's the best
it's the
combo.
vibe. It looks so good.
Yeah, so these people hating that you're wearing a jersey just because the kids are younger than you is wear your jersey, show your pride.
Next one we got here is having sports flags and decals all over your house and your car.
This is funny because when you say that, Paul, I think of like people who go a little over the top. Like I think of like the Chicago Bear fan who's like going on a date, but he picks up his date in like a Chicago Bears themed motorcycle, and then he's got like a Brian Urlacher jersey on picking you up, and then he takes you to his house, and he's in his bear cave with all the Bears logo, and you're eating off a Mike Ditka plate and all this shit. It's just like there's like too much going on with sports. But yeah, if you have too much like sports decals on your car, it gets a little bit too much. But those things kind of like it makes me think of Jimmy Fallon's movie Fever Pitch,
Yeah.
and then what's her name? The girl that plays I forget her name. The little young ET girl. Yes, you do, Paul. Well, she has her own show now. Jimmy Fallon's in, then she comes over and it's all Red Sox stuff, and he has like Red Sox toilet paper and Red Sox TV stand. It's just all decked out Red Sox, and it's a little too much for me.
Yeah, I could see where
I'm looking up her name.
that's a turnoff for sure. The flags is always like a joke. I always feel like, but I feel like it goes both ways. It makes me automatically think of girls, they would, when you were in college, they would walk into your room and they're like, oh, dude, if he's got a fraternity flag or if he's got a sports flag, like that's his whole personality. But then guys would also say the same thing where they're like, oh, you walk into a girl's room, tapestry on the wall. There you go.
That's like the
basic
big
girl.
That's the big college thing is the tapestry.
It's like a girl has a tapestry, guy has a flag. It's like, that's just how it is.
That's just how it is. Drew Barrymore is the girl in Fever Pitch.
Gotcha.
Next one, Paul. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. So, fans of opposing teams that get into fights, which we've talked about previously on the show, where like when you wear the other team in the other stadium, like you're kind of asking for it. But at the same time, I don't understand how grown adults just can't sit there, watch a game without throwing punches or being childish, you know? Have you seen fights at the Devils games? Like, probably not.
So I haven't seen like actual fist fights. There's a video I want to talk about that I remember seeing. But I mean, working at the Devils, North Jersey, New York,
I mean, you're like right in the heart of it.
They're tough fans. And like the Rangers and the Devils are a very big rivalry. It's called the Hudson River, the Hudson rivalry or something, whatever it's called. It's literally two teams that play within like 5 miles of each other. Like, there's going to be a rivalry. And then even like Islanders fans, I mean, that's super close too. You have 3 teams that are stupidly close together.
Yeah.
And hockey's a very aggressive sport.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the Devils games, like working the games, and like Islanders fans are just so rough, man. And so are Rangers fans. And we're from Philly, so we know the Philly fans are rough too. And you're just very passionate. And I've never seen like actual fist fights, but I've seen very strong words. I've seen grown ass men like getting up and like in each other's face. Even working there, like sometimes when the Devils will score a goal, I'll like look at the Islanders fans with my flag and I'll just wave it, like I'll just stare you down. But I'm just doing my job. I'm trying to make the Devils fans enjoy the game.
Well, if you're the home fan, I don't think you should provoke it, if that makes sense.
You shouldn't provoke it unless that person is I'm not gonna let another fan come into my house and just try to beat me down, right?
It's
like
fair.
it's no matter what, like I'm gonna defend the den, and that's just what's gonna happen.
That's true. But so if that person is asking for it, I do get it. But I mean, the amount of fights, it's like, what are we doing? Let's just watch the game. But I know it gets heated. Alcohol gets involved at these games.
That's true. Alcohol gets super involved in the sports games.
Super involved in these games.
So there's a video that I wanted to talk about a year or two ago. I'm very involved in the mascot world. I love professional mascots.
We're looking to get someone on who is a mascot.
We are. Hopefully.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, we want to.
I gotta stop jinxing these things.
You're like, oh, we're gonna get the president of the United States on.
Well, here's a good shout. Next week, if you're sticking around, you like listening to us, Miss New Jersey's going to be on the show.
It's very true.
First virtual show for Life's a Party. Miss New Jersey's going to be coming on in virtually.
So back to mascots.
Seamless, Ryan. Seamless.
Back to mascots, but there was a long time, or maybe like a year or two ago, there was a video that went viral of it's the Chicago Blackhawks. I think his name's Tommy the Blackhawk or whatever the mascot's name is. But it's for the Chicago Blackhawks, and he was like walking the concourse, and the opposing fan like pushed him.
Oh,
and
the
then
mascot.
I'm so
Tommy
mad.
I don't know.
Tomahawk. It's like Tommy Tomahawk or something.
Tommy, that sounds good. Go with that.
But yeah, so the mascot for the Chicago Blackhawks literally got like shoved, and then he's turned around and like kicked the guy and started wailing on the guy. Like wailing on the guy on the ground on the concourse. A lot of people got involved. So that's just one thing. Like, don't assault the mascot.
Yeah, that's got to be a charge.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's just when you're at a sporting venue, especially if you're the opposing fan.
Tommy Hawk.
So when you're an opposing fan going into an arena, like I think you can enjoy the game, you can rep your team, but just don't provoke anything because at the end of the day, it's not your place.
Yeah.
And you should, unless you're walking out of there on a massive high after like a blowout game, then you can chat a little bit. But other than that, like during the game, just enjoy your team.
And have a little bit of sense of awareness. Like if you're a Dallas fan going into the Link in Philadelphia or you're going to Wells Fargo to a Sixers game, have a little sense of awareness. Or you're going to a Yankees game or a Mets game. And maybe if you go to like the New Orleans Pelicans game, maybe you could do a little chatter in there. But if you're going into Madison Square Garden for the Knicks, or you're going to Boston for the Celtics or Boston for the Bruins, like you got to pick your spots and understand like which fan bases don't fuck around. I will talk about this real quick with the mascots. I saw you well, I guess it classifies as a mascot. I saw you comment on a TikTok of this lady who was in Disney World and went to give Shrek a high five, and Shrek didn't Shrek
Oh,
ignored
yes.
her, and you were like, well, that's just because he probably never saw it coming.
Yeah. So
That made me laugh.
yeah, that was a video that was talking about the Shrek meet and greet down in Universal Orlando. And if you look at the Shrek characters, if you're ever like curious about mascots in general, right? Like their
Line of vision.
line of visibility is and their sight, it's like it's not as easy as you think. And the one girl has her hand up, like ready to give Shrek a high five, and you watch Shrek, and it's like Shrek completely ignored her. I'm
just
like,
completely dicks her.
I'm like, dude, I'm like, knowing that perspective, there's no shot Shrek even saw her.
Like
his-
comment got like 30 some likes. Or
His
something.
line of vision is just not there. Like he has to do a complete 180 turn to be able to see her. So he wasn't ignoring her. He was just could not see her.
Me and my girlfriend actually, like, we have another episode like way back on mascots. If you guys want to check it out, we don't remember exactly the episode.
It's definitely like the first,
Yeah.
within the first 15.
Way back. So maybe we'll have to run another mascot episode back. But me and my girlfriend were talking. It's like people can make actual livings being a mascot. Like they make literally 6 figures for mascots.
Yeah, it all
I found out
depends.
that the Philly Fanatic wasn't even the top one. I forget. I heard it on ESPN or something was a new top mascot, and it was like not even a good team.
It all depends. Mascot salaries usually depend on the the league. All the leagues, your professional sports leagues, NHL, NFL, NBA, and MLB, even MLS, like they all are different. They're all very independent from one another, and they all value mascots differently to their sport, where like the NFL, for example, does not. I
Yeah.
mean, when you go to an NFL game and you're watching football, like the mascot's the last thing in your brain.
Yeah.
It's just not really there. But when you're in the MLB, right, like you have baseball games are long. They're long. There's a lot of downtime. It's in the summer. It's hot. There's a lot of games too. I mean, what professional NFL mascot? You could be doing events off season, but at the same time, like your actual games are only 8 or 9 games now.
Yeah.
Where like the MLB, you're doing 80 games. Like you're doing 80 home games, so like you're gonna get paid differently. It's just how it's gonna work,
It's gonna be based off the organization too.
and that's
the same thing with players and like what organizations bring in money and top media locations like Philly, Boston, New York. Like those mascots are gonna get paid more because they're a bigger sports market.
They're bigger markets, and that also works for if you're looking to get hired in sports in general, right?
Because this is how the conversation got brought up as we were watching the NBA Finals, and there's trainers for the Warriors stretching out Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And my girlfriend's like, how much do you think they make? And I'm like, oh, they probably make a shit ton. I like Google how much those trainers make. It's like 50 grand, $45,000 a year. I'm like, holy shit, I make way more than these guys. but then like you look to see athletic trainers in different organizations and different leagues, and the variation is crazy based off that sports market.
Yeah, it's super interesting if you ever want to get in.
Social media.
Interested in social media is another thing, but if you want to get interested in sports, all power to you. Have fun. It's a very hard industry to get into, and like you said, the pay is very
Not what you expect.
yeah, it's not what you expect, and it all depends on the league and the market you're in.
Oh, it's like Bryce Harper's making 180,000. Philly Fanatics making 120,000. Oh, if I'm a social media manager of Phillies, I'm gonna be making a lot. No, wrong.
Yeah.
So, next one, Paul.
Okay. One of the biggest pet peeves of sports fans, the term America's team. And I actually agree with this one a lot.
Yeah.
And people always talk about, so for NFL, for example, the Cowboys are known as America's team. It's like, who determined the Cowboys are America's team? And people really talk about it. It's like, if you talk about winningest team or like current most winning team, like it should be the Patriots. And like, that makes sense, right? America, Patriots, America's team, right? Like it actually makes sense and it can change, but why the hell are Dallas America's team?
Dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, Dallas is the most hated fan base, hated team. They have criminals at running back, and they always like Greg Hardy. They gave a chance to play for the Cowboys, who was like domestic violence and shit. And it's like, why are these guys America's team? So I was like, you know what? I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't look up why they are the America's team. So it turned out there was like a broadcaster in 1979 that saw the Cowboys fans traveling well on away games, so he just kind of said it. He's like, oh man, a lot of Cowboy fans are here. It's a away game. They're America's team. And that's how it got brought up. But I think it's time for us to come together and be like, you know what? They're no longer America's team. Like, let's just, as a unit, I don't know if we have to go on strike at AT&T Stadium or we have to put up a poll, but let's all vote Dallas Cowboys out as America's team.
It makes no sense.
The next one is, all right, this is a good one for you, Paul. The waive. You like the waive? Here's my thought on the waive. I like the waive, but I think the waive should only be incorporated for baseball games.
Okay, that's a strong statement.
That is probably a strong statement. I like it at the Phillies game or the Yankees game because, like you said, baseball game's a little longer. I don't know if I'd love the waive at an NFL game or even an NBA game. I think it's perfect for MLB, and let's just leave it there.
Yeah, I feel like it does fit the best with MLB. I think slower game. I've seen the wave a lot at minor league baseball games.
Yeah,
definitely. If you like sports in general, I have really opened up to minor league baseball. And like, there's a minor league baseball stadium actually by my apartment now that's really cheap. That does like Thursday night $1 beers, and like they have all these promotions because they want to get you there. And then
go ahead.
I worked for 2 minor league baseball teams.
You got a ring.
I didn't get a ring. I
You
should
didn't
have
get
got
a ring. I thought you got a ring.
Nope, they were being cheap. I should have got a ring, but
Did you know that team reached out to my brother to come play for him? To go
Really?
play for him? Yeah.
that's really what he say.
I don't think it was like enough money for
There's
him.
no way it's enough.
But
money.
like the thing with minor league teams, and I tell this to almost everybody I talk to, especially baseball, is like they put these minor league teams in places where they don't have pro teams.
yeah, of
Or
course.
like they're like way in Idaho or Iowa, where they would have to drive 3, 4, 5 hours just to go to a major league game. So they put these minor league stadiums in these locations where the minor league teams are the professional sports for
Yeah.
these fans, and they're getting autographs. My brother Kyle plays college summer baseball in North Carolina. So he lives out there for the summer, and he's signing autographs because these fans in North Carolina, they don't have an MLB team. Like, that's their team. And you talked about the Bananas team, what they're changing the game in minor league baseball. So minor league baseball is kind of dope. Like, even though baseball is kind of portrayed as a dying sport, but people love minor league baseball.
And I think minor league baseball, I've seen the wave happen a lot. I have done the wave a bunch in my job at the Devils.
I was going to ask. I don't know if I've seen it in hockey games.
Yeah, we've done it a bunch. I had an old woman that I heard at later, like, was calling me names and stuff.
Wait.
Where she was like, I was basically on the other side of the arena, and I was starting the wave and stuff. What happened was I don't know what the score was, but something was occurring where it was like, we needed some energy. I think we just needed some energy, and somebody was like, Paul, you have a lot of energy. Let's start the wave. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I had a lot of kids there.
You are the wave guy.
I'm the wave
You're
guy.
like the prototypical wave guy.
So I tried to start it, and I'm like behind one of the nets, right? Well, you have literally the furthest possible you can be behind the other net. I had other coworkers there, and they were sitting right by a lady who was like, "What's this guy doing? This guy's an asshole. Like, there's no waves in hockey. Tell him to stay home." And she was saying a lot worse. I'm not gonna lie. I
no
heard
waves in hockey.
like she was saying a lot worse, and
Did you say he was worse?
a lot worse. So I can't repeat it. But yeah, I got the wave started, and we did the wave a few times, and we had the arena really loving it. There was a lot of good energy, and I think it was in the third period. So I think it works for hockey. I could see where a lot of people don't like it. I think best it definitely starts at baseball.
I like watching, see when it's gonna die out.
I think that's the best part. It's like the goal for the wave is like, how long can this thing actually last? And I've had baseball teams where that thing is just you feel like it's forever.
I wonder what the record is for longest wave in like an active baseball game.
Most of the time, those waves die when something major happens, right? Like if you have the wave and then a home run hits,
Yeah.
it's like everyone stands up and then it's like, okay, wave died.
It's like, yeah.
So it all depends on when you get that wave started.
The longest wave was 28 minutes and 35 seconds.
I thought it'd be longer.
That's a pretty long. Yeah, but if you think about it, a wave for half an hour.
Does it
That's
say
a
like
lot.
it was a baseball game?
It was
That is a while because you think of like an NHL period's 20 minutes.
it was in Newark, New Jersey.
Hey, it was Paul's wave.
The audience set the longest record for the continuous wave, lasting 28 minutes and 35 seconds. This was
Prudential Center?
yes.
Paul broke the record. You heard it here first at Life's a Party. Paul has broken the wave record.
I don't know about that.
No, he's
What
the
year
one
wa-
that started
what
it.
year
It was
was it?
it was in 2019. It was a Rocket League championship series,
Oh.
an esports
You
game.
could have just left that out. Just let us enjoy the moment.
If you
for
said
Paul.
2019, I would have had it. I would have been like,
Paul holds the record for longest wave at a sporting event.
but yeah, no, the waves were great.
I would have been pissed if he was the one that was a record breaker.
We'll do a few more
Yeah,
here.
we'll do 2 more.
One big pet peeve of sports fans: streaking. Do you like streaking at a sports game?
I like streaking. I say this all the time. I wish they would televise the streaking. Like when they have a guy run on the field during an NFL game where a guy runs on the baseball field, put that shit on TV. Like let's see it.
They can't put like a. I mean, no. So I can see where if
Oh,
they
streaking's naked.
Streaking's naked.
Yeah.
I don't think they could televise that. But if there was just a random guy that got on TV,
Why not?
that was like fully clothed.
Why not?
Was like fully clothed but did run on, who is technically still classified as like a streaker, I guess, because and
He has no clothes.
yeah, but
I
this
am the
guy's
streaker
dressed.
guy.
It's like the whole point of that to not televise it is to not encourage people to
Do
get
it, yeah.
television time, right, for doing a bad thing.
I
and
think
then
they should
getting
do it for good ratings.
going to jail for the night. So
I think it's worth the good ratings.
I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. And if you do it, if there's no like major repercussions, I don't think there's anything like too harsh. I think it's a small fine, a night in jail. Who cares?
Did you see the one? I think it was a Phillies game where the one guy ran from one side of the stadium to the other, but there was like two different angles of him leaping, and then like as he runs across, there's another guy taking a video, and it's like the ending of the video.
dope. Yeah.
So it's like two videos connecting the streak at once. So I thought that was funny. That was a viral video. All right, the last one is everyone hates a good front runner. Now, I do hate front runners. I think everybody hates front runners, but they're starting to see a more developing fan where they like players on teams. Like my mom's a prime example of this. Like she likes Steph Curry. He just so happens to win like 3 of the past 5 things. But I do the same thing. Like I like certain players on certain teams, whether it's football or my fantasy team or an NBA player that I like, or I just like how he plays. I'll cheer for that team. So I think that liking teams based off players is something new to the fans, and I accept that.
I think the whole idea of fantasy sports. I think sports betting. I think a
Yeah.
lot of that has played into this larger like sense of watching sports and learning more about sports, right? Because it's like we're from Philly, and growing up my entirety, most of my sports teams I like were from Philadelphia. It's because I was born here. That's the team I root for, and that's for a lot of people in the United States.
That's like in many's minds what it should
What
be.
should happen? Where are you born? That's your fan base, no matter what. And the only difference really is like, yeah, your dad was born in New York, or your mom was born in California, but you grew up in New Jersey, but your mom's a Lakers fan.
My dad was born in North Jersey, and he's a baseball and football fan. So I like the Yankees and the Giants.
Yeah.
But I like the Sixers and the Flyers because he wasn't a big basketball. Well, he was, but he wasn't a big Knicks fan or
A Rangers fan.
Rangers fan. So it just worked like that. But everyone always has like, oh, why are you a Lakers fan? It's always that like big question.
It's like, my mom was born in LA. It's like, okay, I'll let you leave. Like, I'll let it go. But no, I think the idea of fantasy sports, of like having to pay attention to those players, you get to learn more about sports, especially for football. And then I think basketball in general, I think it's just become so different where it's especially because the players are hopping from one team to another almost
Yeah.
every couple years, that it's like you're really following the player and not the team.
100%, yeah.
LeBron's a good example. KD's a great example. Kyrie, even like those
Yeah.
players are. Even James Harden now has been on what? How many 5 teams in the last 7 years? It's like you just kind of follow these players, and then it's like, oh, I'm a James Harden fan, and whatever James Harden team he's on right now is like, I root for him.
Like the NBA has turned into a players' league. And
It really has.
People, especially generations younger than us or our generations, they like players, and then they just like the teams those players go on. I don't think there's a problem with that, but obviously our parents are older up, believe in where you were born is the team you cheer for, no matter what, through thick and thin. But I always tell the old people, the world's evolving, times are changing. It's time to figure it out. So you are now the minority. Sorry about it. But yeah, that's some sports stuff we were talking about. Dope episode.
Yeah, that's a great episode from us. We were talking some movies, talking some sports. Hopefully you are enjoying us. You got to the end here, so we appreciate you. Make sure to follow us on social media at Life's a Party Pod. As Ryan said, give us a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. As always,
Music, take us out.
peace, baby.
Later.
It's just like constant babbling nonsense. It makes no sense.
Well, we got another hour to do that.
Let's go, baby. Another hour.
Let's babble nonsense.